So he goes on to say in The Athletic, he says, we're hopeful, at least based on solid public comments at this point, that work is being done to mitigate it being a topic of discussion any longer than necessary. So the players are making it known to the association, the fans and everybody are making it known to Major League Baseball. And according to the director of the MLBPA, they're looking to do something about it. Well, welcome to the show. I'm Brendan.
I'm Corey, and this is Our View from the Bench.
Welcome back, Benchwarmers. Today, we're going over the newest update out of Major League Baseball.
The league has finally decided to do something about the gigantic jersey fiasco.
Yeah, it's great. Honestly, they're finally doing something about it. I'm really excited to see some better jerseys again.
Yeah, well, I hope you're ready for next year.
Yeah.
I'm Corey, Angel Seamstress.
And I'm Brendan, Fall Guy at Nike, and this is Our View from the Bench. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss any one of the new episodes.
Also, if you could please do us the favor, if you like what you see in here, please hit, or smash, I should say, that like button.
Smash it. It's free. It's free for you. It's free for us. And it helps out a lot more than you probably think. All right. We're going to discuss these changes that we've preferenced before and what we can expect to actually see, what specific changes Major League Baseball is talking about. But let's go back to a few key points from our previous video covering the bad uniforms in general. Make sure you watch that episode as well. We'll have the link in the description. Check this out.
Yeah, it doesn't look good at all. And I know initially MLB came out and said, oh, you're not thinking about they're in studio lights. It's part of the reason because, they use these big bright lights for these big photo sessions. But
Okay.
I saw another video or picture of Xander Bogaerts out on the field at spring training stretching by himself on the grass, and there's no studio lights out there. It's just the natural light from the sun, and I can see just as much as I can in these photos. So I don't know what happened, but it always comes down to people at the top making decisions that ultimately are more money for them, but they're not thinking about the people who actually have to wear them or deal with them on an everyday basis and use them. That's always what happens when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Which is not true. I mean, what you said is true, but it's not just because you think it's best for, the bottom line doesn't mean it's best for the product. In fact, most times it's not. World class, huh?
Yeah, I don't
world?
see it. And the fact that, again, these players are coming out with quotes and not putting their name on it because they don't want to get in trouble. Like one of them, I think the consensus is they're not too great. I know a lot of guys don't really like them. Another one, it feels like a knockoff jersey from TJ Maxx. Another one, even though I thought the last few years they haven't been as stretchy, but definitely this year you can notice the fabric is just a little lighter than we're used to, but it's not necessarily better.
So as you see, we kind of discussed how bad they were. Some of the quotes that Corey had read previously from some of the players, although anonymous, of course, not want to get in trouble with the big boss, were pretty telling, right?
Yeah, it was such a fiasco, and it was like the first week of spring training. It wasn't like we had played some games and then all of a sudden it became a thing. It was a thing like right from the get-go because they do all the photo shoots and everything before you actually play any games. So it was the talk of baseball. And I mean, frankly, even more than Ohtani going to be a Dodger at that point. It completely took all the major news that we should have been talking about and turned it into a bigger spectacle just for the jerseys and all the fans complaining about it. We showed a clip on that episode as well about one of the announcers talking about how bad it was and the difference between the previous ones that they had been wearing over the last few years and the ones they currently were wearing. It was just a mess from the get-go.
Yeah, some people might say that any news is good news, but I don't believe that's true for billion-dollar organizations. They're really kind of only looking for good news. That might be good for someone trying to make a name for themselves, of course, but that's not necessarily what an entire org like Major League Baseball is trying to look for. So that being the headline, like you said, going into the season, not any of the players or the who's playing where or the headlines of who might win the World Series, it's why do we see what they're wearing under their jerseys? Why does it look like what's wrong with the lettering on the back? How come it's this way? You know what I mean? It was too much. It was too much. So I'm glad that the Major League Baseball has decided to finally honestly step up and do something about it. Quick, what is it? Quote, I guess you could say, out of the ESPN article that kind of details what they want to change predominantly about it. Okay. The prominent modifications include a return to larger lettering on the back of the jerseys.
Thank God.
Great. That was one of the biggest things. We watched that clip for the Mets, right?
Yeah.
One of the Mets announcers.
Dude, he was talking about how small it was, and he's like, even when it's on the screen, I can't really read it. And then they went and showed somebody in the stands wearing a jersey of DeGrom from previous prior. I'm like, now that I can read, like it's nice and bold and big. It makes more sense. But I guess part of it was shrinking the lettering because it had to do with the amount of fabric they were using or the thickness. I don't know. Whatever they're.
Yeah, remember the jersey? We talked about it in the episode. Go check it out. Make sure you go check it out. You'll know all about it. You'll know all about it. So yeah, having to freaking fix that. They're going to remedy the mismatched gray tops and bottoms. They're addressing the new Nike jerseys' propensity to collect sweat, which is something they learned according to a memo distributed to the players by the association. The problem is that, like you said in the intro, when is this going to start? Like, how soon do we get these new jerseys?
2025. That's not going to solve the problem this year. And not only not solving the problem this year, there's still some like mismatching grays. How do you have pants
Yeah,
and
that's
tops
pretty
that don't have
ridiculous.
the matching colors? Like you're making them together, I would hope, for the same team, and you have the color gradient there
Maybe
to
not.
know. And then the other part is I remember I think want to say like a month ago reading that the St. Louis Cardinals brought back their like baby blue jerseys that were big back in the like the 80s that they wore as like an alternate. They haven't been able to wear them yet because Nike hasn't made them in time for them to wear. They're hoping to have those in June, but even then, by now at this point, just wait until next year because if you're going to read,
Dude, don't even send them.
yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna redo them. Don't even send them. Nobody wants to buy them. Honestly, it'd be a gigantic waste. Some people would buy them just because they would buy them. You know what I
yeah,
mean? People buy stuff, but I don't think they're gonna be flying off the shelves like hotcakes, like you might think. If they were the correct version, the better version, yeah, maybe. The article goes on to say the last thing that they're going to change also includes the pants, which pretty much everybody has been complaining about. Not only necessarily how you can see through it, but just how thin they are. I mean, I've seen normal slides like Bellinger sliding into third
yes,
after somebody hits him there, and he just tears his pants completely apart. Just a normal slide,
yeah.
nothing
Yeah,
crazy.
there was one.
It's
I don't remember who the guy was, but somebody on the Tigers slides into home. There's no play at the plate, all by himself, just like a basic like drop down slide, sits up, and 2/3 of the pants are just completely ripped and torn. It's like, could you imagine if there was actually a play at the plate or something that could have gotten tangled in with the glove? I mean, there was nothing there and no reason for that. And also, they talked about too that they didn't have enough necessarily pants in stock to probably possibly have backups for these guys. So if that's the case, and somebody does rip them that easily, what are they wearing the rest of the game?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. To not have backups when these things are about as thin as paper mache is something else because they're bound to get. I mean, unless you expect them to just play the entire game standing up in the field
Yeah,
and running the bases, just don't touch the ground ever at all. In fact, maybe don't even sit when you come into the dugout. Just stand there as well. You never know; it might snag on like a splinter or something from the freaking bench. Who
oh
knows?
my god! Could you imagine a guy gets up off the bench and all of a sudden half his pants are stuck in the bench in the dugout, and it's like, oh crap!
With these pants, I might be able to. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. The crazy part about this all though is that it's actually getting pinned on Nike. Like I mentioned in my intro, I'm the fall guy there.
Yeah,
Nike's kind of just taking the hit. Everybody's pointing at Major League Baseball saying that it's Nike's fault. Everybody's saying that this is Major League Baseball's quote, right? We cautioned Nike against various changes when they previewed them in 2022, particularly regarding the pants. Major League Baseball had been and has been aware of our concerns as well. Unfortunately, until recently, Nike's position has essentially boiled down to nothing to see here. Players will need to adjust. I believe that was Fanatics. That quote was from
yeah.
the Fanatics
Well, when this first became a
page.
fiasco, Fanatics had to come out and say that they just made the jerseys based on the dimensions and measurements that they were given. It wasn't up to them, so they had that from the get go. They've been passing it along off to Nike in a sense at that point, and now MLB is even doing so. And I think the only reason this is my only thought behind it that they can go against do it on to Nike is a much bigger corporation than Fanatics, has a bigger name and like just brand in general and worth more, that maybe they can take the hit initially and still survive and get through it because they probably will because it's Nike. But if you were to take Fanatics down, which they already don't have a great rep, if you're talking to me who works,
Right, they don't. That's what we've talked about.
so
Go check out the others. I'm telling you, it's really
yeah,
good.
exactly. So maybe the fact that they did team up and say like Nike, you're gonna have to take the fall for this because we can't afford to take the fall. You initially will probably get hurt by it, but in the long run you'll be fine, and it's better for you to kind of take the fall at this point.
Yeah, that could be it. That could be it. To be honest with you, I think the fault, to be honest, lies with Major League
Yeah,
Baseball.
I mean,
I feel like it's not being run that great. The best thing that they've done recently is change the rules, and that's kind of revived the
mhm.
sport. But other than that, they're kind of messing up a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, they had to ultimately sign off on all these measurements and things. It's not like it went from Nike to Fanatics and MLB didn't see the paperwork or what the measurement or the type of
Exactly.
material they're going to use. And you're right, they did change some rules last year for the 2023 season, and it was great. It worked out. Time of games have gone dropped down almost like 30 to 40 minutes. Fans, there's more stolen bases. There's more action in the base paths instead of just shifts and hitting into the same guy and not getting it.
More actual
Yeah,
hits.
more action in general for the fans, which is good. But yeah, they also have some shit
Mhm.
that's fucked up, including the blackouts. Like, get the blackouts things figured out. It's so fucking frustrating.
Yeah, it's really dumb. It's really dumb. In fact, we're experiencing it right now as Diamondback fans. They're playing the Dodgers tonight, and although Corey pays for
Open
the
TV,
MLB
yeah,
ticket, he can't
no,
watch it because we live in
yeah, and
LA.
I don't.
So we have to buy it from
Yeah, and I'm
Spectrum.
not gonna give Spectrum or the Dodgers, and I'll give Spectrum my money when it comes to Lakers because I'm a Laker fan. But I'm not a Dodger fan. I don't want to watch the Dodgers feed and then bag on the Diamondbacks. I want to watch the Diamondback feed and see what they can talk about us and see an actually positive way of looking at the team.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, do you have any other thing? I wanna end on a question that I want to ask you.
Just like I said, I just can't believe it got to this point. The fact that we're a month into the season and now they finally have figured out what a plan is to do, and again, it's not going to come into effect
Yeah,
until another year from now. So if we come back next spring in April, in February, and March, and we're still talking about the jerseys as an issue, then they've had a year to figure it out, and they still didn't figure out. There's going to be a bigger issue, and then I can't imagine their sales of jerseys are as high as they were last year because if fans have been complaining about the material and how they look, like there was a quote from that one player that anonymous says it looks like a TJ Maxx knockoff jersey. Like that's not good.
yeah.
Fans don't.
Dang, how much do you want to bet it was jersey sales that actually is what's doing this, not necessarily any gripes from players or anything. Like, damn, really nobody is
That
buying these. You're right.
is
You know what?
that is a really good point. Until we actually said it, I guess we hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it is driven by that. Maybe like, dang, the public has spoken and nobody wants this. Redo it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And by
Sorry,
the public
Nike.
has
Yeah.
spoken, it means their wallets have not been opening and they're not giving us their money.
Good, good, good. Because it's trash product. No, you don't deserve to have the money. Make a good
Yeah, you
product.
wouldn't be wearing that Serpientes jersey if it was made like these ones.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. This is nice. This is nice. Okay, so then I want to ask you this then. Basically, this is, like I said, in my opinion, kind of Major League Baseball's fault. This is another, in my opinion, blemish on I literally was about to say
Rob
his name and
Manfred.
I forgot his name. On Rod Manfred. When is I mean, we already said he's not renewing,
Correct.
right? We've discussed that. So that's great. But I mean, arguably one of the worst. I mean, are there other things that are just on the way? Like, how much worse can it get? And how much of this do you put on Rob specifically? Not necessarily him, but him as the
Yeah.
leader of this organization because they let all of this even get to your point this far. Like, how much of this is Rob's
I mean,
fault?
even if it's not, there's
Not specifically like why
no,
didn't
no,
he
I
feel
know.
the
I
jerseys? You know
remember
what I mean?
there's
Yeah.
a saying, "It's not your fault, but it's your problem." That's kind of how this is for Rob. Like you may have signed off.
It's got a lot of
Yeah,
those though,
he
right?
has. But again, because you're at the top, you probably have people below you that kind of tell you like, "This is what we're gonna do," and he's like, "Yeah, all right, that sounds good," and doesn't like sit down to read the fine print of every single detail of things. I can only imagine how many things get thrown on his table or his desk. But still, at the end of the day, if people are complaining already about other things you're doing, wouldn't you want to be more methodical and make sure you fine tune everything so you don't continue to add to the list of reasons people don't want you to have your job? I mean, there's literally, like I said, the whole blackout thing. There's a video of a fan when Rob's at I don't even know what stadium he's at, but he's sitting in the suite and the guy is sitting in the suite next to him and he's recording. He says, "Hey Rob, you want to make baseball better? Get rid of the blackouts, you dumbass!" Like straight up. And then Rob
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
all right, and doesn't say anything because he obviously probably knows, like, yeah, I know it sucks, but like it is what it is. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, it shouldn't be what it is. You know what I mean? Have some balls. Like, how many gaffes like this do we see that are actually league induced
Yeah,
in the NFL, in the NBA? Now, sometimes players do something that they're like, damn, all right, how do we fix
yeah.
this? Or an organization might do something and they're like, damn, all right, but how many things are really like league driven? I feel like there's just too many things happening in Major League Baseball that are league driven. And we have a topic on that coming up. Make sure you check out the other video. But yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. I wanted to kind of ask you what you thought about Rob for that one because I think he's kind of a fault. I would give him at least half the half
I
of
mean,
half
like I
the pie.
said, even if it's not all his fault, he's the guy in charge, so it becomes his problem to solve. So do something about
Yep. Do something, bro.
it.
Do something. It's not that hard. Do your damn job. That's what you get paid a
Yeah,
bunch
for
of
real,
money
way too
for.
much money,
Jeez.
probably.
So, but anyways, they are going to do something about it. Thank you all for joining us, checking in. Appreciate you. Thank you as always for seeing things from our view from the bench.
And I'm
I'm Brandon.
Corey. Like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.
This was a Sycamore Fourth Studios production.